Well, it certainly looks as if it has, in part. It's not alone as a region or an area which has done that. But yes, and just looking very simply at the numbers, the Conservatives knew they had to win about 10 to 12 seats in the capital. That would be at the level which would have given them an overall majority, and they won 6 or 7. And you can see that nationally they are short of that overall majority. So certainly there was an issue there, and certainly there were factors clearly in play in London, as they appear to be in urban areas elsewhere in the country, where the Conservatives have simply not been able to convince that they are the right alternative, even though, you know, everything looked so good for them. And I think what you have to remember or really notice is that some of these candidates, they were A-listers, they were people on whom they pinned so much hope. They were people that had been nursing these seats for 2 or 3 years and had a lot of money pumped into those seats, and still they didn't do it. So if not now, when? Now, Boris Johnson's take on this is this was a peculiar election for peculiar times, and in effect the voters were saying a plague on all your houses.
The public were cheesed off with politicians of all kinds, and somehow or other they hit upon a mechanism for punishing absolutely all major parties. I mean, they punished us by stopping us from becoming an overall, giving an overall majority. They stopped the Lib Dems advanced. You know, all this stuff we had in the middle of the campaign about how Nick Clegg mania was taking off, that was completely exploded. And Gordon Brown had the biggest rejection, you know, any Labour leaders had for 80 years. So it was a general rebuke to politicians, slap in the face for politicians. And I think what the public want now is for everybody to work together to sort it out. But that's, I think, what we need in London. What this city needs, is for a government to come together as speedily as possible to give the economy the confidence and leadership it needs to float the economy off the rocks, give businesses the confidence to employ people, give the markets confidence. And that's what I hope we'll achieve in the next few days.
And Tim, what's a coalition government likely to mean for London in real terms?
Now that's a question. Well, so many permutations to be decided, as we know. But the key thing will be any of these parties or groups working together. How are they going to address this one really big issue? The need for considerable savings, cuts, and how to protect the infrastructure in London. But we have no idea how any kind of deals or quid pro quos between the parties are going to affect that yet. OK, Tim Donovan at City Hall, thanks very much for that. Let's now turn to the increase in voter turnout this year, which left some polling stations in the capital struggling to cope. Police were called in Hackney after frustrated voters were told they couldn't cast their ballots. Matt Cook reports.
We just want to vote! Ready to vote, but turned away. This was a scene at one Hackney polling station. Scores of people left outside as the polls closed at 10 o'clock. Many had queued for more than an hour, only to be told they wouldn't be allowed to vote.
There was 180 definitely that were behind me, because there was a guy there that was counting the people that were there. And also they didn't stop people and say, you know, move us to another polling station or anything.
Essentially, I would like my vote back. I would like to be able to cast my vote. It made me very angry, and the other people around me very angry, to feel that we'd been denied our vote.
Hackney Council did issue a statement this morning saying legally we cannot allow voting to continue after the 10 p.m. deadline, and saying we share residents' frustration, but we must work within the law. In Lewisham, there had been big queues here too, so big that election staff had to get everyone waiting outside this polling station inside before the 10 o'clock deadline to make sure they could vote.
The queue was coming pretty much to the gate here. It was snaking along down there to the school, and they locked us all in at about 10 o'clock, so we were all crowded into the lobby of the school.
I arrived about half an hour before voting was due to close, and then there was a queue there, and we were informed at the time there may be we may not have got to vote.
The Electoral Commission has said that it will launch an investigation into all of last night's polling problems. Matt Cook, BBC London News.
Well, the excitement of the general election results may be dying down, but the local election counts are in full swing. Mike Ramsden's been following what's been going on. Mike?
Yes, the general election votes have been counted. Now we move on to those local council elections in 32 boroughs across London. That second yellow ballot paper that you might